And good evening, everyone, and welcome in to the UFC Fight Cards podcast presented by Orange Fire Media. I'm your host, Russ Renaud. Thanks for joining us here on a Saturday night after another UFC event, this one from Abu Dhabi, so Fight Island. And we had a great main event in the bantamweight division between Corey Sandhagen and Umar Nurmagomedov. So, tonight's featured cards are all of our favorite fighters who end with V. We actually got rid of our Umar Nurmagomedov cards a few weeks ago, so don't have those, but have a couple of other Nurmagomedovs that we will show later on. So let's get right to it and talk about this pretty good card for, a fight night. Obviously, Abu Dhabi, they want to do a little bit better with this card. And so you had the number 2 ranked bantamweight contender in Corey Sandhagen taking on number 10 Umar Nurmagomedov. This is a great fight through three rounds. It could have gone either way those first 3 rounds, but Nurmagomedov took over in 4 and 5 and really controlled Sandhagen in those 2 rounds and put it out of reach. There was a 50-45 card, and it gave all 5 rounds to Nurmagomedov. Could have made a case for Sandhagen early on, but as the fight went on, it became clearer and clearer who the winner was. And so that is going to vault him way up into the rankings and possibly in line for a title shot. So we'll talk about that later on when we look at the schedule going forward, what that means in the bantamweight division with a big title fight coming up. We had another bantamweight look really good against a top contender this evening, so we will tie all that together as we go on through the card. But great showing by Nurmagomedov. Couldn't put Sandhagen away. Sandhagen couldn't put him away. But just a really good fight between 2 great fighters. And I would love to see that fight again down the road, just to see who figures who out. Because I don't think either one really could do what they wanted to do. It's just Nurmagomedov did a little bit more on his side, because Sandhagen was stuffing takedown after takedown early on, but just couldn't do it later on in those championship rounds. So unanimous decision for Umar Nurmagomedov, who looks to jump and vault into that top 5 in the bantamweight division this week. So we saw the co-main event, Sharo Magomedov, just one of those rising stars in the middleweight division, defeating Michal Olejniczak by unanimous decision. This was kind of a beatdown, just couldn't put Olejniczak away. Great job for him by hanging in there. But Magomedov to show him what he's made of, and that, that's why he's one of these up-and-comers and maybe looking into that top 15 this week. The problem with Magomedov is that it can only fight overseas because it just has that condition in his right eye that will keep him from competing here in the U.S. So that's just a hurdle that the UFC is going to have to continue to cross with this prospect. So this is the other bantamweight matchup I was talking about. Number 6, Davison Figueiredo defeating number 4, Chito Vera by unanimous decision. And Figueiredo looked great. Really able to do a lot of things he wanted to do against Chito. I thought Chito would bounce back and, get off to that slow start that he usually does, but then turn it on late and get this win. But it didn't happen. Figueiredo was awesome, looked great. And it can tell he is taking this latter part of his career seriously, wants to be that double champ. And so he called for that title shot after this, but, I think with that performance that Nurmagomedov put on, that's going to put him in that position to get that next title shot, or maybe those two fight, and then the winner gets the winner of O'Malley and Dvalishvili later. So I would not be surprised to see Figueiredo, Nurmagomedov, and then you see the winner between O'Malley and Dvalishvili early in 2025. That would be what I would think would happen. Seems to be the most logical, being that those two were on the card together tonight. So we'll see what happens in the bantamweight division going forward. So now we look at what may have been the final fight of Tony Ferguson's career. He only put down one glove, said he was going to hold on to the other one just in case. He's going to go talk to his family. But Michael Chiesa getting the submission in the first round, getting Tony Ferguson to tap. That is Tony Ferguson's 7th straight loss in the UFC. And so that would make you think that it is time. Dana White has said it, and said it a couple of fights ago, that it's probably time for Tony Ferguson to hang it up. But he's not ready. I've been ready for a little while myself for him to call it quits. I think, he's, lost to the best. 7 in a row. Lost to, great fighters. But Chiesa just right there on the edge of the rankings. He's not ranked, but just, kind of in that top 20-ish. So this just is not the way that you want to go out. 7 straight. Obviously, you want to go out and win, but I don't think that's in the cards for Tony Ferguson at this point, unless you just go to the bottom of the barrel. You don't want to do that either, to just fight nobody. Not to say that it's nobody. If you're in the UFC, you're in the UFC, but it's time. It's just time. I don't want to see Tony Ferguson fight anymore. And so this first round submission loss to Chiesa kind of, does that for me. That I've seen enough. So there we go. Tony Ferguson almost calling it quits. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So here we go. This was a great women's strawweight matchup. Number 7 against number 10. Mackenzie Dern defeating Lupi Godinez via unanimous decision. This was a great fight. And, Godinez outstruck Mackenzie Dern, but Dern controlling the action on the ground and in the wrestling, and those submission attempts. Almost had Lupi a couple of times, but hung in there and went the distance in this fight and did not tap. But Mackenzie Dern looking pretty good. I think Lupi Godinez is probably underrated at number 10. And I think they're probably pretty evenly matched, somewhere just right there in that, top 5, top 10 range, just like they are. And so Mackenzie Dern bouncing back and looking great tonight. And so kind of move into another top 5 contender and see if she can break into that top 5 and get a title shot at some point. But she'll have to do a lot of winning between now and then, because just the people she's lost to, it's just set her back each time. So it's just that 1 step forward, 2 steps back thing. So Mackenzie's just going to have to make a little run here. So to round out the main card, we had Joel Alvarez with a TKO in the 3rd round over Elvis Printer in the lightweight division. So a great performance by Alvarez, going ahead and getting that knockout late in the fight. So I do want to touch on the featured prelim, because you had 2 ranked fighters, number 14, Azamat Murzakanov against number 15, Alonzo Minifield in the light heavyweight division. This is a great fight to lead into the main card, especially on ABC today. Just a great spot for the UFC to kind of make a bigger impression to a wider audience. And so Murzakanov with a knockout in the 2nd round, and it just looked amazing against Minifield. Minifield just hung in there. He's great at doing that. He can take a shot. He will keep coming at you. He landed his own shots, but Murzakanov just too much in this one, and I think you're going to see a lot in a kind of, toss-up light heavyweight division. 2 through 15 is just kind of, a bunch of guys. You've got Pereira at the top, and you've kind of got Ankalaev there. He's just kind of had some weird stuff going on in his decisions. But, Murzakanov going to be moving up, and it's good to see. Like seeing that with a great performance tonight. Really impressive. So let's go ahead. We've got the rest of the card. Nothing really crazy there. I mean, we started off the card with 5 straight decisions. We did get the first knockout of the night, was Kawhi Fernandez against Muhammad Yaha in the lightweight division. So knockout in the first round. So that was our first stoppage of the night. But not a whole lot to talk about on the rest of the card. So let's go ahead and jump in to what we have on the schedule for the rest, of the fall. as we get into October. We will go from next week until October here as we look at. First, starting off with next week, we have a fight night from the Apex, which is nothing great. Heavyweight matchup between Marcin Tybura and Sergey Spivak, number 8 against number 9. It's okay. I mean, I'll probably watch the main event. No, I'll watch most of it, but Chris Gutierrez, Javid Basharat, bantamweight matchup. Damon Jackson, Chepe Mariscal, in featherweight matchup, women's bantamweight, number 12 Yana Santos against number 14 Chelsea Chandler. And then welterweight matchup, Uros Medic, Danny Barlow. And there you see flyweight matchup, Alan Nascimento against Jafel Filo. Down on that prelim, you see the women's bantamweight matchup. There's a ranked matchup between number 8 Carol Hosa and number 11 Penny Kianzad. And that's kind of a sneaky good fight. And I'll kind of keep an eye on that one next week, because I do look for that more on those fight night cards from the Apex, that some of these women's fights are just better. You've got Santos and Chandler, Hosa, Kianzad. Those are just kind of better fights than some of the others on those cards. That's usually just the way that works. So let's go to August 17th, UFC 305 from Perth. We are going to be doing a live main event coverage of that one. So we will be on, you'll see me, you won't be able to see the screen or listen to any of it, but I will be giving a play-by-play of the main event that night. So that will be on then. And you will hear the main event between the middleweight champion, Dracus du Plessis, and the former champion, number 2 contender, Israel Adesanya. So I'll be on live then, and if you can't buy the pay-per-view, we'll be here bringing you that coverage. You can talk to us on the chat and learn anything else that you want. Just ask any questions that you want to see, all on that card. So let me bring up, I'm going to get the podcast here in the background. I usually see it, but now I'm not. So let me just get in there real quick. As you look at a little bit of the rest of the card. So sorry about that. Just bear with me here just a little bit. I'm trying to get back to this main screen. That's okay. It'll be okay. All right. So we look at the rest of the card. You've got Kai Kara France against Steve Verseg in the flyweight matchup, and you'd think that Steve Verseg should be a little bit higher after that performance against Alessandro Pantoja in that title fight, but just moved up that one spot. Then you got a lightweight matchup. This was added this week. Number 5, Mateusz Gamrot against number 11, Dan Hooker. Heavyweight matchup between number 10, Tai Tuivasa, number 12, Jairzinho Rosenstrike, and Li Jiangliang against Carlos Prates in a welterweight matchup. The only other ranked matchup on this card is in the prelims, number 14, Casey O'Neill against Teresa Bleda in a women's flyweight matchup. So great card coming up from Perth, and we will be right here for it in our live main event coverage. So we got a fight night coming up on September 7th from the Apex, and not a whole lot on this one yet. So we've got number 6, Gilbert Burns against number 8, Sean Brady in a welterweight matchup in the main event. Number 9, Calvin Kattar against Cal Nelson. There you see the other two matchups that we talked about last week. Here is Riyadh Season Noche UFC, otherwise known as UFC 306. from the Sphere in Las Vegas, and those ticket prices, $3,000 for the lowest price ticket to this event. So that's just insane. And I'm sure it'll be worth every penny for those who have it. But those tickets going on sale this week, kind of insane. But looking forward to it. Bantamweight matchup between the champion Sean O'Malley and the number one contender Merab Dvalishvili. And as we said earlier, maybe see a Figueiredo Nurmagomedov matchup, and then the winner gets the winner of this one. We'll see. Got the wrong designation here over on the side. Sorry about that. But a women's strawweight championship on the line between the champion Alexa Grasso and the former champion and number one contender Valentina Shevchenko. So that is the trilogy between these two. We saw Grasso get the submission against Shevchenko in the first matchup to take the title, and then we had a draw the last time. So Grasso kept the title, but it was a draw. So 1-0-1 for Grasso coming into this one. And, just preliminarily from my standpoint, I see Shevchenko evening this out, and kind of like a Brandon Moreno, Davison Figueiredo type scenario. We may see this one for a fourth time down the road. I think we may see the women's strawweight division advance a little bit with somebody else, but I think Grasso Shevchenko do this again sometime. But who knows? Maybe Grasso puts this one to bed. You never know. Featherweight matchup. This is one we were going to see last month, and Ortega was sick and had to pull out. So we're going to see number 3 Brian Ortega against number 12 Diego Lopez. Just really looking forward to that. I love seeing Diego Lopez fight. I think he's just one of the more refreshing fighters in the UFC right now, and can't wait to see it. Then a bantamweight matchup between Raul Rosas Jr. and Aori Kalang. Then a women's bantamweight matchup, top 10 matchup between number 4 Irina Aldana and number 10 Norma Dumont. Here you see the rest of the card that we shared with you last week. Then we get to Fight Night, September 28th in Paris. Don't know anything about this one yet. The one thing we do know, and we're going to see this soon, is that Cyril Gane is not on this card. He is on another one coming up. So it's going to be interesting to see how they go with this Paris card. Don't know anything about UFC 307 either. October 5th from Salt Lake City. Do not have a main event there yet either. And the only other event, but we do have some matchups now confirmed as of this week, and this is going to be a pretty sick card. October 26th, UFC 308 from Abu Dhabi, where UFC was today. We've got the featherweight championship on the line between the champion Ilia Topuria and the number 2 ranked contender, the former champion Max Holloway. It's going to be an awesome fight. Cannot wait to see that one. That one's going to be interesting. My niece is getting married that day, so we will have to do some finagling to make sure that we can watch that one. Cannot wait to see that though. Heavyweight matchup here. So Cyril Gane, number 2 ranked contender, against number 3 Alexander Volkov, and you're not going to see Gane in Paris. So like I said, that kind of throws that one up in the air. But great matchup there. Middleweight matchup here. We're supposed to see earlier. Number 3 Robert Whittaker against number 11 Khamzat Chimaev. I hope Khamzat is good to go for this one, because if he has to pull out from this, I don't know how his career recovers from another setback. So hopefully this stays intact, because this is going to be an exciting card if it does. Light heavyweight matchup is number 2 Magomed Ankalaev against number 5 Alexander Rakic, which is kind of surprising to me that Ankalaev would take this fight and not wait for a shot at the title against Alex Pereira, because that would kind of make sense to me that he would be next in line for Pereira, unless there's just something going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. But interesting there. that's not next on the radar. Or maybe just Pineda coming off that win over Yuri just needs some time, because he does fight a lot. He's a pretty active champion. So just wants to make Ankalaev earn it and face off against Alexander Rakic in this number one contender fight. So that is the schedule that we know about for right now. So this has kind of been where we've stopped for the last couple of months now. We don't know anything past this, and obviously if we go back a couple, we don't know anything about 307, don't know anything about Fight Night in Paris, so it takes some time for the UFC. I wish they could, have these things a little bit better mapped out, but, you'd rather them do this than have a bunch of canceled fights. So we'll deal with it best we can, and we'll just move on. So that is what we have on the schedule for the next couple of months. We've got a lot of great fights coming up and cannot wait to talk about them with you, and appreciate you stopping by today. Let's go back to what we have as far as card-wise today. Let's see. Like I said, since we're in Abu Dhabi, a lot of people who normally dot these cards, Islam Makhachev, a little prism, number to 49, and all these other Islam cards to go with it. Put those up there. Do you have the Nurmagomedov? Do you have a Bubakar Nurmagomedov, the pink cracked ice, a couple of other rookies there. Saeed, number to 99, with that silver hollow laser. Got the hyper, so got a few of those. Got a lot of Hamzat. So we've got this one numbered to 49. Then some other rookies of Hamzat. So you can find all of the stuff we have listed on our eBay store. Some of this is not, though, so you may just have to reach out to me. The email address is russ@orange-fire.com. Got the Shavkat Rakhmonov, the blue prism, numbered to 175. Also got a green, got some rookies in here of Hamzat. Of Shavkat Rakhmonov. So you may see him in a title fight near you one day against Bilal Muhammad. Have seen the rumor of that here in the last week or so. So we pulled those cards out that we'll see Shavkat Rakhmonov, Bilal Muhammad, maybe at Madison Square Garden in December. So that'd be awesome to see that fight. November, December, I can't remember which one. It's November, and then they finish off at T-Mobile for the December card. So yeah, that'd be pretty awesome main event there. And kudos to Bilal for wanting that fight to happen, and right after taking that title. So that's just a little bit of what we have. You can go check out our store on eBay at Orange Fire Lots of Lots. See what we have listed, and I've shown you some stuff that we don't have listed, but you can always reach out if you are interested in anything there. But once again, just thanks a lot for stopping by. We're going to talk UFC every week that there's an event. We'll be here usually right after the main event, but sometimes these afternoon cards are a little bit harder. This is kind of our normal time slot that we can get in here around 10:30, 11 o'clock, a little bit later for pay-per-views. But, those afternoon cards is a little difficult to do right away. But glad we could get in here, talk a little bit about today's card from Abu Dhabi, which is pretty exciting for the most part. Had some interesting decisions. Good to see Umar Nurmagomedov just make a name for himself and kind of vault himself into that bantamweight title picture. So it was pretty good night. If you ever have any questions, reach out to us, leave a comment in the chat, and you can subscribe to our channel. You'll always know when we're live, because we're not always at the same time, because we just kind of come on when the fights are over. So it's not always a set time, but our subscribers are always entered into our card giveaways. We have a lot left over that we want to give away. We've got lots of former champions, 15, 20 cards each. John Jones, Holly Holm, Misha Tate, Glover Teixeira, and who else we got? Robert Whitaker and Justin Gagey. Got a lot of cards that we want to give away once we reach that goal of ours that we're trying to get to. So just appreciate you sharing our show with anybody else that you think would be interested in the UFC, and we always want to make this show better. So appreciate you stopping by, and we will see you next weekend when we bring you the recap of that Apex card fight night on August 10th between Marcin Tybura and Sergey Spivak. So I'm Russ Renault, and this is the UFC Fight Cards podcast presented by Orange Fire Media, and we will see you next weekend right here on YouTube. Good night, everybody. Thanks, and we will see you next week.